Hello and welcome to Real Estate Hot Topics. My name's Lee Woodward. Today we are in the Melbourne Outer East, speaking with Mr. Greg Earney from Metfern the Professionals. Greg, welcome back.
Hello Lee, good to be back.
Today we have a change of direction in show. We've had some wonderful information about photography. We've also talked about the profit of a garden and just really good tips that are helping people get in that preparation mode and get as much profit as they can out of the sale of their residential real estate. But when we look at residential real estate, we've also got the legals and news section. What is, and this is my question of the day, what is the Section 32 and what is important about its preparation?
Lee, quite simply, the best way I can put the Section 32, it's a bit like the instructions of the property. It's got the zoning, it'll have the land map, it'll have the certificate of title, it'll show if there's any easements or any covenants, what the rates are, it'll say what's connected with the home, gas, water, sewer, whether it's on septic, all of those sort of things. And the Section 32 is vital. Legally in Victoria, we're not actually allowed to take a written offer from a purchaser prior to them or without them citing and receiving a copy of the Section 32. So look, we say to all of our sellers, even if they're not looking at coming on for another 2, 3, 4 weeks, speak to a solicitor or conveyancer. Our team have got a number of conveyancers. We know them all locally, solicitors that we're happy to give some recommendations to. But get your Section 32 ordered. Order it now. It might take anywhere from a week to 2 or 3 weeks to be prepared and ready, but at least we're ready to go.
How many pages are these generally? How big's the document?
They could be anywhere from 10 pages to as big as it needs to be depending on that property. But the reason it's so important is nothing's worse than you run an open for inspection on a Saturday. We have good numbers through. I've got 1 or 2 buyers that are saying, Greg, we'd like to make an offer. And then I've got to put the brakes on. And I have to say to the buyer, look, I can't take your offer now because I haven't got a Section 32 that I can give you. And there's a saying that I have, given long enough, any deal will go cold. And I think especially at the moment, Lee, it is a tight market at the minute. You don't want any roadblocks. So get the Section 32, have it ordered, have it prepared and have it ready to go. And probably the other key tip there around that, Lee, if you've done an extension or a renovation around that, you may have put a new decking on. We want to know whether, does that meet the requirements? Do we need to get a final certificate of final inspection done? So they're the sort of things that the legal person that you're using, the legal company, solicitor or conveyancer will be able to advise on that. And if we do need to get any certificates, we can get that ordered. And same if you're selling a property that's got a body corporate, an owner's corporation, the solicitor conveyancer will need time to write to that corporation manager and request the owner's corporation certificate. And that can take up to 2 weeks to come through. So, if you didn't prepare your 32, you've got a buyer that's hot to trot. If they've got to wait 2 weeks before they can put an offer in, there's a fair chance that they're going to go from emotionally really loving the home to after 2 weeks, they might have even just moved on or have seen something else and you could have just missed out on your best buyer.
So is the Section 32 the contract that the purchaser signs in order to obtain the property?
No, so the Section 32 is, as I say, it's like the documentation around the home. The actual contract is different to the Section 32. So when we write up an offer, either we will prepare the contract ourselves.
How many pages is that one?
That's up to 12 pages. Or the solicitor conveyancer may give us a contract that they would like us to use. So it depends on your solicitor conveyancer what they'd like us to do.
So the contract and the Section 32 come together in order to be required for a purchase to go ahead.
Correct, spot on. And one of the things that we do, Lee, as well, is we attach a full features and inclusions list that becomes part of the contract as well. So, we'll list the dishwasher, it's a Miele, we'll list that the ovens are, it could be a Smeg oven as an example, we'll list that it's a gas hot water service, that there's a TV antenna on the roof, the ducted heating may not be working, so we can jot that down. That's also part of the legals, and that's something that our sales team work through with our sellers prior to us putting their home on the market.
Can I ask you, are many people now, as homes get older and buyers get wiser, are they getting a full building and pest report? Is that a recommendation? Is that happening?
Great question, and I'm seeing more and more of that now. As an example, we sold a property probably about 18 months or so ago now up in North Road in Mount Evelyn. That property was on a side of the hill, and those that live in Mount Evelyn will know what I mean, and it had some water issues that weren't detectable prior, but the owners thought, you know what, we'll get a building inspection done. Building inspector went through and said, you've got some damp because of rainwater running in under the home. So before we put the home for sale, the owners they dug a trench, they put an Aggie drain in, they were able to divert the water, problem solved. Now, if we had have put that home to market and that buyer had have bought the property, got a building inspection done, and it came up that that was an issue, that could have cost those owners maybe $10,000 or $15,000, or potentially they could have lost that sale. I certainly recommend if owners have got any concerns or they're not sure about the age, condition and quality of their home, get an inspection done for the sake of $400, $500, $600, whatever it costs. At least you know what you're selling and is there anything we need to get done prior to actually launching to the market.
What a great example. So the next building inspector turns up on behalf of our purchaser, and purchasers are very cautious in this new day and age. And they could see, okay, we've had some water over there. Oh, but it's been rectified. They've put a trench in. Obviously, they've rectified that defect. Every home has defects, but it can save you a fortune. When the purchaser finds it out, it's very different to the owner knowing and taking the appropriate action and not being attacked in the negotiation.
Yeah, and the other thing too, if you get a building or pest inspection done, you can actually make those inspections if you want. So it's up to the individual sellers. They might want to keep them confidential, or if it's come back at all clean bill of health, you can actually make those inspections available for the buyers prior to them making an offer. So, once again, it gets rid of one of those hurdles and the buyer can actually make an offer with confidence.
So in summary, get your Section 32 ordered. A building and pest report is highly recommended so that you've got no surprises when it comes to negotiation. And Greg, nothing worse than having a buyer who loves it. You're excited that you're about to sell it, then it all falls apart over an Aggie drain. And that could have been detected and fixed right at the beginning.
Yeah, and any of our salespeople, we've all got contacts that we're working with, building and pest inspectors. So, to any of our sellers out there, just speak to your team member that you're working with and we can introduce you to the right appropriate person.
Again, Greg, incredible information. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Real Estate Hot Topics.
Thank you, Lee.